Hey guys, just want to check I'm on Facebook as well. Come on, Facebook. Come on. Oh my god. Having some technical issues with Facebook. I might have to. Oh my god, come on. Sorry guys, just forgot to, having memory and technical issues. Wrong title. Sorry about that. Sorry about this. Come on, Facebook. Sorry guys, I'm going to have to go. Facebook's let me down a bit. I'm having memory and technical issues. Sorry about this, guys. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Sorry for people who I suppose I don't have any viewers anyway, so it probably doesn't make much difference. I'm apologising, but probably for no real reason in a way. But I had to edit the YouTube version because I wanted to put chapter instead of part 2. Chapter 2 instead of part 2. Because I put chapter in the first part. And yeah, I was having some technical issues, so memory and technical issues, as I said on Facebook, on YouTube. To be fair to YouTube, the technical issues were on Facebook. For some reason, they weren't uploading my video. But anyway, I don't know if I should apologise for this, but I will anyway. So sorry, it's very late. I apologise for being really late in my upload. But anyway, it's taken me a while to get around to this. Yeah, welcome to part 2 of my imaginations. As I said before in part 1, like it's just for a bit of fun. And it's just an imagination, like, could you imagine if there was a dyslexic trillionaires network? But in the future, could you imagine if there were trillionaires and even dyslexic trillionaires, and if there was a dyslexic trillionaires network in the future? So yeah, a bit of imagination and that kind of thing. And as I say, just for a bit of fun, but I mean, it would be interesting if it happened and this video was life-changing, I guess. But here goes, these are pointers number 11 to 20 on that idea. Sorry if anyone on Facebook wants to ask me any questions or post anything, because I won't be able to see it after the video because I'm focusing on the YouTube screen. As I said recently, I'd love to be able to do like split screen, but at the moment I'm not able to do that. So anyway, here goes. So number 11, I've been trying to wrap my head around trying to think of something different to cover. I know I mention about how I'm trying to think of different things to cover, but yeah, I'm struggling to wrap my brain around but I'm trying to wrap my brain around thinking of different ideas to cover. because as I often say, I don't want to repeat myself too much. But yeah, I was thinking about how this would change the world and that kind of thing. Hopefully, well, if it ever happened. But yeah, I'd love for networks like, if there was an M.K.S. Dyslexic Millionaires and a Dyslexic Billionaires and a Dyslexic Trillionaires network, respectively. I would love to invest in other dyslexic people and support them for such networks to use at least some of the funds, obviously not all of the funds, but some of the funds to invest in that kind of thing. I don't know what that was. I don't know if you could hear that. I don't know what's going on there. But anyhow, yeah, I would love to also change the perceptions of dyslexia. I know I've mentioned that before, so please forgive me for repeating myself. But I would say it shows what dyslexic people can do, but obviously there's no such thing as this network at the moment. It doesn't exist right now. There are no trillionaires dyslexic, well, at least not officially. So there's some conspiracy theories that there are some out there, but yeah, looking at what can be changed and whatnot. Changing perceptions and how this would change the world, and investing in different things, which I hope to come to. As ever, I'd love to have your feedback on what you think. Like, if a network like this happened, do you think it would potentially be a good thing? I'd love to invest into AI and robotics and things like that. Have the ability to do so. Obviously, having the money to do so would be great. I mentioned before, like how I put M.K.S. in brackets to show it's my idea, and also brand to show I want it to work as a brand, and team because I want it to work as a team. So I put those in brackets, and I use terms like I love to call it a group and a committee, think tank. You call it a brainstorm, network, cooperative, or whatever else you want to call it. I'd love to know what would you love to call it, like what name, which of those names do you prefer, basically. And as per usual, I'd love to know your opinions more generally, any ideas or thoughts you have of your own. And maybe like how to help dyslexics to believe in ourselves. Yeah, I'm sure something like this would change the world. And moving on, number 12, I'd love for it to mentor, teach, and train people with dyslexia as well. So dyslexics who have done well financially or well in life in their chosen field, mentoring and teaching and training others and that kind of thing. The BDA, the British Dyslexia Association, used to have a mentorship thing, but I don't know if they stuck with it. And I think that's one of the big things. I mean, I suppose if they didn't stick with it, you could perhaps argue, like, you could make the point, like, there must be a reason why they didn't stick with it, if that's the case. But maybe it just needs to be worked on a bit more. But yeah, dyslexics who are successful in their chosen field, whether that's in business or whatever other areas. Obviously, I'm focusing mainly on business for these videos, and I like to focus on those on certain days. But could be like a dyslexic person who's become a writer, could teach other dyslexics that you can become a writer in spite of, or even because of your dyslexia, like thinking differently, how they did it, and using editors and ghostwriters or whatever, utilizing such. I mean, that's something that maybe AI and even robotics could help with in the future. But I don't know if I'd want robots or whatever, or AI to do my writing, but it could be used to improve writing, like ChatGPT for dyslexics and others. I suppose someone told me I should use ChatGPT as and as I said, it would be a game changer to improve my punctuation and that kind of thing. As I have the worst punctuation, as I often say. I often think, like, what the irony of this sort of working out, considering my lack of success and lack of brain power and that kind of thing. I'd love to have the brain of like Elon Musk and Bill Gates put together, but I like to think I'd use it for good. Well, I know I would, but hopefully I won't become corrupted or whatever. Yeah, hopefully we can mentor and inspire, or hopefully a network like this could mentor and inspire others with dyslexia, and be part of dyslexia projects and that kind of thing, and again be part of what I call Trillionaires United Groups, and like I put M.K.S in brackets, and also brand and team and that kind of stuff. Trademark, I want to trademark, take the idea and that kind of thing. Number 13, as I often mention, I would love to fund Italian football. I'd love for, if something like this, if and when it ever happened, again I'm using my imagination, but if something like this ever did happen in the future, I often think, giving an example in football, for instance, I don't know if I should slow things down anymore. Also, I was thinking this is, I'd be horizontal if I was any more laid back, but in some ways. But if I'm thinking this is green and white, so I was thinking Celtic, but we need to speed things up to get much better. But I suppose people often say to me, "You need to wake up" or whatever. But fair enough. But yeah, I often think about the negatives and the challenges we might face, and whether ever we'll get off the ground, and whether I'm just making myself look like a fool. But I suppose in a way, I'd rather discuss it and give it a go than not. It's like when I was thinking about Celtic being in the final, or even any teams getting to the final, especially Italian teams entering or Celtic. Unfortunately, we lost the final recently that we got to. But I think like having no regrets, like giving 100% playing as part of a team, and that kind of thing, then you can have no regrets if you maybe get a bit unlucky, or I don't really believe in luck that much, but maybe there's some games where you get lucky, but it probably balances itself out overall. I think our manager, though, is on borrowed time, something. But back to Italian football. If this worked and if it was set up and made loads of money, I'd love to build. I'd love to fundraise to build loads of pitches in Italy, stadiums, academies, and that kind of thing. Help them to get sports clubs and basically help Italian clubs like AC Milan and others, Milan, Roma, Torino, teams like that, or Italian football generally, and football in parks, schools, and all that kind of thing, to help more Italians to play and practice their football. I'd love to sponsor. I'd love to be in a position basically to sponsor places and spaces for playing and practicing football, spaces and places for soccer, if you like, or whatever sport, in this case soccer, and that kind of thing. So yeah, if something like this happened, I'd love to do that, and even fund, like my favourite figure, like 10% of Italians to get to play, to try and play football professionally. And if they get an injury, it would be like having insurance, so that some of that funding could go towards, like, saying you didn't make it as a footballer, but it would basically afford them to take that risk, and know that if they got an injury or for whatever reason could no longer play football, or their career came to an end or whatever, that they would still have that safety net, if you like, that funding that was available. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, moving on to number 14, I dreamed this would solve a lot of problems, and I guess it would, with having that funding. It would be able to fund lots of projects, like which I talked about I was going to mention them, but I think I'll mention them in part 3. But yeah, we're supporting lots of projects like helping AI and robotics apps and things like that, development in Africa and around and across Africa and that kind of thing. Number 15, and yeah, I dreamed that it would be able to make as much money as possible, but to do a lot of good with that money. Again, I'll just come to that more in parts 3 and 4, which time has defeated me today, so I've only got around to part 1 and 2, but I think I'm going to have to sleep on it and finish parts 3 and 4 tomorrow. I haven't really got any topics that I've thought of covering tomorrow in 4, or maybe I'll try to do something different tomorrow than my usual 4-part list videos. But I was thinking of things without wanting to give too much away, but like of the irony of dyslexic writers, but I don't know if I'll make videos on that or not. Yeah, I suppose it's one area you might think dyslexics wouldn't flourish in like writing. But yeah, I think business, like problem solving, creativity, and even work ethic, many dyslexics, like myself, have those things. I suppose I just have ideas, but and creativity in a way, and imagination and that kind of thing. But yeah, I hope it will help with like funding dyslexics to work on their ambitions and dreams and things like that, and goals, and maybe help to get organised, and dyslexics to teach and train each other different things like AI and robotics, organisation, things like that, perhaps. Although I personally am probably beyond help. But moving on, number 16, I would say, could you just imagine if this network would happen? I'd love to know what you think would happen if a network like this happened. I know anti-capitalists would hate this idea, I'm sure. And I suppose the problem is there is a gap between rich and the poor, unfortunately. And I don't really mind people making more money. I care more for those at the bottom, though, that struggle. And some people might say that it's in relation, like if you have people who are making trillions in the future, then it's going to be much more difficult for those at the bottom. But I hope that people like me would be able to help those at the bottom. As I say, if I could trademark, protect, and register this idea, and copyright protect it, trademark protect it mainly, and have 10% of the equity, then I would be able to do a lot of good for less well-off people. Although people might say coulda, shoulda, woulda, or it's all ifs and buts, and obviously, but of course. But I thought I'd put the idea out there. I guess I'd probably regret not trying than trying and failing, trying and messing things up. Which reminds me of a side note: Lionel Messi in India. Apparently, they've drawn a statue. They made a statue of him, and they say it's a complete mess. It doesn't look like anything like him, and so many celebrities are in that situation. But that's one area dyslexics can do. Is like a lot of dyslexics are good with their hands, unlike me, I would say. But they can design great things and that kind of thing, build statues and do art and whatnot. Number 17. So yeah, I guess I've got to admit that as I talked about recently, it would be hard to imagine such a thing happening and how it would work and that kind of thing. I have my own ideals about how something like this would work, but as I say, at least I made some hopefully at least fairly interesting videos. Although I know I'm a bit tired and stumbling over words and I wasn't feeling too good today, but please bear with me. But not that I'm normally not incoherent, but yeah, it would be hard to imagine, and I guess also to make it ethical and that kind of thing. But it would be interesting, I think. I'd love to know if you agree with me or not. But try to think about imaginations and things like that. I suppose these are just my ideas, and I suppose I was thinking that in point number 7, one thing I forgot. There were a couple of things I forgot in part 1, and point number 7. In point number 7, there was there's normally a few things I think about, like what if by networking together we make life easier for each other and make it as easy as possible. I don't know if life can ever be 100% easy, but I'm sure everyone has to work hard at some point, unfortunately for me. But I was thinking that talking about robots that can make life easier by doing the dirty jobs and rubbish jobs and all that kind of thing, ideally, although I suppose we have to be careful of unintended consequences. I know I mentioned about like ethical AI and helpful AI, that kind of thing, helpful robotics and that kind of thing. I saw someone in India who's only like, well, not personally, but I saw him on YouTube. I mean, who was only like 16 and working on robotics and that kind of thing. It's quite interesting. But yeah, about I was a bit foolish, I guess, as usual. But I was thinking that AI could do things like gardening, cleaning, tidying, and that kind of thing. But really, you could pay robots or cleaners, tidiers, organisers, or whatever to do that kind of thing. But I definitely think like things like cleaning toilets. I don't know why anyone would want to do that. I understand some people probably enjoy gardening, just like I enjoy football. I'm a bit out of shape right now, but sometimes I sometimes enjoy going to the gym, and I definitely enjoy walking when I can. I can find the time and energy to do so. It actually refreshes you as well. It actually even going to the gym does to an extent. And I'm hoping to do weight training in the gym tomorrow a little bit, but my little weights because I'm not that tough. But yeah, sorry. The thing I forgot was about. Yeah, if I could make videos like this, I'm trying to remember. If I could make videos like this, trying to imagine if I could just make a video and then people somehow it would just work. I mean, I suppose if I believed in like the law of attraction, self-fulfilling prophecy, I suppose that's just a fancy way of saying self-fulfilling prophecy. I think, therefore I am, or I think, therefore it will be. I think it will be, therefore it will be, or whatever. I would probably say, oh yeah, just making a video like this, and then somehow it will come to fruition. It will become real. It will become real, become reality. Just from my imagination. I think that would be pretty cool, I guess. Yeah, it'd be hard to imagine. I find it hard to envisage. And I know I did talk before about, I see like imagination as in like something you think about. That's, I don't know if you could class that as an imagination, but coming up with an idea, you could say it's like kind of an imagination. But then what I see is like what I call picture or physical imagination. Again, sorry for repeating myself, but something that, especially dyslexics, you can actually see yourself in that room, like imagining myself around a table around dyslexic trillionaires in this case, which would be quite ridiculous, but it would feel rather surreal, but it would be interesting, I think, at the same time. Number 18, I hope that we do a lot of good stuff, though, a lot of ethical stuff. And also, one thing I forgot to say, which I'll probably repeat again in parts 3 and 4, is I forgot to say in point number 8, as I often say, like, I turn hate to love instead. So 8 rhymes with hate, but I turn it into love, so I turn it into a positive 8 instead of a negative 8. But yeah, because I think of the words like negative and positive having negative and positive, if you know what I mean. Hope someone knows what I mean. But on a serious note, I was going to say, in spite of the fact that he or she, or they let me down on a daily basis, I still love God with all my mind, heart, and soul, just for like opportunities. And I guess as hard as the world is, and as annoying as people and animals can be sometimes, I appreciate that I'm not in a world on my own. I think that would be like hell for me if I was in a world on my own, in a planet on my own. I don't think I could do that all the time. Although I love my own me time, and I suppose it's like moderation. I guess I love having the house to myself and space for my own self, and I love to have my own creative rooms where I can just be by myself for a long time, sometimes even like a day or two. But after that, I think I would want company, whether that's a bar, a pub, or a bar, or a cafe, or a park, or a museum, or whatever, talking to people, and to an extent, just from a safe distance. I wish most people well away from me, as in, I wish them well, healthy, happy, and all that kind of thing, but I also wish them away from me a bit because they distract me. Number 19, something I was going to wait till part 3 to mention, and I did mention it. I did say I was going to mention it in part 3, and I was thinking about mentioning it in point number 14, I think. But I'd love for us to support projects like Black Girls Code, helping black girls to get into coding from Britain, America, Africa, Asia, and around the world. So to help more black people, especially women and girls, to get into tech and things like that. Number 20, also STEM generally. With the money this group would have, I'm sure it would have a lot of money. It would be able to invest in those things and fund those things, and hopefully invest in things like oil, silver, gold, and other things that will hopefully help to make more money, so multiply more money, but then use that money to do a lot of good, which again I'll talk more about in parts 3 and 4, all being well, touch wood as they say, God willing and Godspeed. And I think that's a bit of a contradiction, because like you might say in religion, depending on what religion you're talking about, I think in Christianity it says you're not supposed to believe in superstitions, but then I feel like number 13 or whatever, because that's a bit like superstition. But anyway, I'm going to stop laughing. And I would have liked to have done a better job, but it is what it is. And